Hey there, Synth Drones. Today I'm going to talk about experimenting. This is Pure Ambient Drone, and you're watching my channel where I vlog about synthesizers. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button and tap that bell so you can keep up with all of my synth adventures. 2019 is here, obviously, we know this, and I got to tell you, one of the biggest things that I've learned over all these years is that experimentation cannot be replaced as the #1 best learning tool for synthesizers or for synthesis or for gear or for anything for that matter. Getting in and experimenting, trying to figure out what works for you, and more importantly, what does not work for you. That's the important thing. And I've learned that by failing at something, I've actually learned more than if I would have just achieved something. Now, I know that sounds kind of funny, but you don't want to get behind your gear and put something down as a track and then release it only to find out that it was a bad move. But through experimentation and failing, you realize, wait a minute, I'm glad that I didn't print this. I'm glad that I didn't make that a permanent housing in my technique, okay, or in my music production, or whatever the case may be. Experimentation helps us fail before we commit. Now, there's nothing wrong with the attitude of commitment, don't get me wrong, but just sitting in front of the synthesizer and trying new things, experimenting around, pushing buttons that you were once afraid to push, right? Knowing what factory reset can do for you is a big plus when experimenting. Oftentimes I will screw everything up on my synth and have to go back to factory reset. And I'm going to tell you something. You guys might call me crazy, but you know what? I never do this. I never, ever, 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 ever save patches on my synthesizers because it encourages me to experiment when I am creating a new track. I don't want to save my patches because of that reason. Now, I know that there's good reasons to save patches, especially if you're going to be doing live play and all of that stuff, which is something that I don't do. But I got to tell you, I don't save patches for studio work because I want to create from scratch. And I never use a preset out of the box. I always experiment with what I can do with this patch. Either I do it on the synthesizer, or I do it within the DAW, or I do it within both locations, or I do it with outboard gear, such as, outboard effects, which I don't have very many outboard effects. I use almost exclusively inside the box for my effects, inside the box. VST programs or plugins. So even with them, I like to experiment. And here's the thing. Once you get the sound into the DAW, you can go crazy with it. All you got to do is just save yourself a backup copy and just rip into it and change everything in the world that you can think of changing. I like to tweak until I break something, okay? Or I'm on the verge of breaking something, not literally like physically breaking it, but the sound sounds like it is just destroyed or nothing like it used to be. I like to do that. It doesn't always work, okay? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about with failure. It doesn't always work. But with experimentation, you can dive deep into the realms of your gear, into your DAW, into your effects, into your VSTs. Experiment and just try to keep a mental record, if you can, of what you're doing, okay? Don't be afraid. Don't be scared to take the next step into the realm of experimentation. So many people, they're timid. They're afraid to touch the keyboard. They're afraid to touch the buttons. I don't have any of these on right now. Let me click the button here. I want to show you something to prove a point, or to, I should say, express a point. It's awful dark in my studio today. I got some new lighting. I'll show you those here in a minute, just for reference. But I hope the camera's picking these up. It looks like it is. Look at all of these knobs. You know what those are for? Experimenting. That's how I look at them, right? And one of the things that I did in my studio, and this goes along with what I'm talking about today, experimenting wise, is I wanted some new lights. So I got these lights here at a local retail store, and look, I can just click a button and I can make them do different colors. Then there's a dial on the remote. Here's the remote. It's pretty cool. You could just spin the dial and change the color that you want, and they'll stay at this color when you use the dial. Then you have little presets right here. And what I mean by I was experimenting is that I think it's interesting to have different lights in your studio. I work differently with different lights, okay? I seem to be more creative under a blue kind of purple hue, and I wanted something that would give me the ability to be able to cycle through different colors of the spectrum, because I think it's important that we experiment with the atmosphere of our studio. Case in point, some years ago I built a new studio, and I did videos about doing that. And I got to tell you, I hated the new location. I hated it. I'm back in my old location. Every time I just walked into the studio, I immediately wanted to leave. I wasn't creative. It just sucked the energy out of me. And it was because of the layout of the room. It was the atmosphere. It just did not feel inviting to me. And what I constantly do is I experiment with my atmosphere of my studio here in my location. I already know that I like the location. I know that, and it's a keeper, because I tried to experiment outside of this location and it did not work out for me. So experimentation is where we're going with this video. It's very important. And listen, you guys are my second best learning tool. Or maybe, should I say, you're my equal, okay, of learning tool. I learn so much from you guys when you leave comments. I think I have some of the smartest people on the internet commenting here. This could be its own forum. You guys are sharp. And I just love some of the comments that you guys leave, and they're just awesome. And for those of you who haven't checked out some of the comments, read through some of the comments on my videos. Some of the smartest people, some of the wow, knowledgeablest people I can think of come here and leave some great comments. I appreciate it. I love the compliments that you guys leave behind. It keeps me on track. Don't get me wrong. But I really love it when you also include some of your knowledge. You guys are so smart, and I just love it when you guys, leave a comment that goes deeper than, wow, great video. Wow, thank you. Those are great. They keep me on track to let me know that things are going good for you with my videos. But I love it when you add to it and you put your 2 cents in worth. Don't be shy doing that. So yeah, keep the comments coming. And until next time, keep calm and synth on.